Hello everybody, you've made it to the end of Katya's lessons. Congratulations, yay! So I know it's a lot to take in and there's a lot of facts there. You're all probably wondering, how can I use this in my practice, in my teaching, in my learning, in selling essential oils, whatever is that you do with them. Well, this is where Dropsmith really shines, I think, and I want to show you how I use this information and hopefully invite you to invest further as well. So I want to show you some things that I discovered over the years because I drew all these pie charts by hand for the last 10 years, and I noticed some similarities, some synergies. So please just be aware, and when I'm talking about my experience and what I noticed, and when I stress that this is something that we found also in research. So first, what I want to show you is with the ketones, because this is where we finished off with the lesson. When I was studying ketones in aromatherapy, usually it would be in association with strong activity on body and mind, which is true with oils such as these, rosemary, peppermint, spike lavender. These are all very activating essential oils. But what I found is also that some plants with a lot of ketones are traditionally used in spiritual rituals. Quite the opposite, calming us down and bringing us into some meditative states, like these oils here. So as you can see from the pictures, what I found is that these oils, such as cedarwood and sage, for example, they have more sesquiterpenes, the green guys here, that I guess might work in synergy, and that it might be a bit misleading that all essential oils rich in ketones are actually very strong activity on mind and body, meaning activating us. So what I found is that these oils that have ketones but activate us usually have quite a lot of cineol as well. So this is just something I found in my studies. So you can check it out yourself if that's something that's useful for you, if that's something that you agree with or not. And another thing I found is there's a great synergy between cineol and camphor, actually, because if we scroll down here to the detailed report, see, and you can check this out yourself, look at camphor and all of their properties. They're very surprisingly alike to the properties of 1,8-cineol. Just a second, here we go. So that's something you might be interested in your studies. They're very complementary in many ways. You find oils that have both of these wonderful components. We usually use them for quite a lot of respiratory conditions, all kinds of infections, pain as well, for mental clarity and activation. So these are very, very pungent oils. And I put peppermint here because all of these ones have this combination I talked about, cineol and camphor. But with peppermint, you see, it doesn't have that much cineol, but it has a lot of menthol. So that is another very cool combination I found, menthol and cineol. So just check that out in your further study. So this is something I was very confused for a long time. How do ketones really affect the body? But then as I started to study further and go more into the chemical components, I found all these wonderful synergies, and functional groups are really a great start, but you need to go further. That is in my experience. So just to remind you, check out the synergy between cineol and camphor, and then cineol and menthol, and you might be quite surprised. So going to the plants that are used for relaxing and calmness and different emotional states, I chose a few here. The ones I noticed that have combination of ketones and sesquiterpenes, actually. So what I found is that these oils are usually used for not only relaxing and meditation and things like that, but also for inflammation and pain. So I kind of have these oils as all kinds of pain, emotional and physical pain. So these oils I would use, for example, for pain in the evening to calm us down, and these I might use in the morning because they're also fabulous for pain, but will also kind of wake me up. And sage here, you see, it has a lot of ketones, but it's a bit different than these ones. We also traditionally use it for rituals, but let's look at that chemistry. I'm very interested in that. So if you look at ketones here, you will notice that sage has a lot of monoterpene ketones, and all of these ones have quite a lot of sesquiterpene ketones. So what I would like to suggest is maybe as a community and people are researching essential oils, what about investigating a little bit more on the size of the molecules and how that affects the oil? Because if you look at all the other things found in these oils, see, again, here we have monoterpene alcohols, but here we have more sesquiterpene alcohols, and the same is with hydrocarbons. With these sesquiterpene ketones, we tend to find sesquiterpenes, and here we have more monoterpenes, which is very logical, really, because they all interconnect. And the same with oxides. See, here we have more cineol, but here we actually have more sesquiterpene oxides. So that is just something I found interesting, and that you might find the value in Dropsmith, that we actually took the time to make these 80 other subcategories, and then you can get a little bit more detail on which kind of ketone it is, or alcohol. That might tell you a little bit more about the oil, about how it may possibly penetrate the skin because of its size as well, and perhaps some holistic insight as well. So I noticed this pattern also with the esters. So when I'm studying esters, I was usually, you would read something like ester-rich oils are really known for their calming and balancing effects. And that is true, with oils like these ones, like lavender, bergamot, clary sage, and many others, chamomile, Roman chamomile with a lot of esters. But what about these guys here, Again, I noticed a pattern when a lot of oils have with a lot of esters, and then we have cineol. They don't tend to be as calming as the oils that do not include it, which is again very logical. And I also put here 2 myrtles, so you can see that they can be quite different, see, especially with the esters here. And when we talk about calming effects of esters, it's usually the effect of linalool acetate. Actually, that is something my research ladies found out. So if we look down here, that might not be the case with these oils as well. So we go to esters and we see monoterpene esters and see, yes, we have linalool acetate, but it's not in the percentage that we would find in oils like these ones. So let's look here. Here we go, esters. See, and see here it's in a much bigger percentage. So these ones are also usually much more sedating. And who are they? Lavender, bergamot, clary sage. What a surprise. And I also purposely put geranium here because although it might look similar to these guys, for example, lavender has a lot of alcohols and esters, so does geranium. But with the geranium, it's not about linalool and linalool acetate combination, because geranium has a lot of different alcohols. So with geranium, it's a lot of geraniol and citronellol, which are quite different. So let's look at that. So as you might have noticed before, these ones have a lot of linalool acetate, and this particular geranium has none really, but it has some other monoterpene esters, see, like these guys here. But let's look at alcohols, because this is a very common and known synergy, this linalool and linalool acetate, which is logical because one goes into another and vice versa. So geranium has a lot of geraniol, course, and this one has less. And then citronellol is quite a large percentage here, and these ones don't have it at all. But look at our beautiful linalool. These are quite rich in linalool. So you might want to check out the properties of linalool and then scroll down to linalool acetate and then see what that one, what properties that one has. And that might give you a lot of clues as to why your oils work the way they do, and you just have that extra confidence and extra knowledge, I guess, when you're representing your blends and why they work the way they do. But I wanted to point out another thing which I found with alcohols. You know, when we study alcohols, we also study that they affect the mind and relax the body, which is true again with linalool. But I actually had my research ladies really check it out, and what they found is that geraniol was actually researched on anxiolytic and sedative properties and was found not to have them. Although we did find other research on geraniol, a lot of it, a very useful component, and it is actually shown to be antidepressant. So that falls into the category that alcohol-rich essential oils might affect how we feel. Just go further into that. And again, I would like to point out that these alcohols we just mentioned, linalool, geraniol, and citronellol, are very, very different than our friend over here, menthol, that we find in peppermint oils. So I just want to point out, although I really love functional groups and I use them in my practice very often, and they give me a great start, and I can kind of see the composition of the smell of the oil and if it's rounded or not. It does have its limitations, you know, like everything else. Just be aware of it. Just be aware of what it can and it cannot offer. So that is what I wanted to show you with this video, that there is a lot more to consider than just functional groups. They're a great start, and I hope that now that we actually have Dropsmith and all these other subgroups, that might help you get new insights, you know, all these groups right here that might give you new insights and ideas on how to use oils, and hopefully encourage scientists to look further into this, but also be aware that each of these ones here, these chemical components, is very special and they have their own properties, and then these ones interact with the other ones, and we really have quite a complex substance that we are working with, and that's why they're so wonderful and useful for many things. So I hope this video gave you some new ideas and insights into the oils you're using or you plan on using. My intention was not to scare you, but to really show you the possibilities we have here. We have research on the properties of the essential oils and their chemical components, so we just have a lot more confidence and a lot more information to back their wonderful properties and use. Whether you are blending for wellness purposes, for example, this might help you understand that rosemary might not be the greatest choice in the evening massages, you know, not just because of your client, but because you might not be sleepy after that. So maybe you'll use something like this, you know, a nice cedarwood that will also work on pain, but will help you relax more and, you know, and sleep after better for you and your client. And if you're, for example, selling essential oils, you will just be more confident the choice of for your client, why you gave them that oil for a specific condition, and you can back up your choice either with the essential oil properties or going into the components. It just gives you that more professional look. And the same is when explaining to your clients why you chose that oils for your blend, you know, as a therapeutic method, or as a pharmacist working in a pharmacy. I guess this is really, really interesting for you. And as a teacher, I actually come mostly from teaching. That's why I have all this curiosity and, you know, That's why I actually drew these pie charts, is because it was easier for me to teach my students how to approach these oils, and especially the safety, here. It's so much easier when you can just see it in nice pretty colors. And I also hope it will be useful for you in your practice, whatever it is that you do. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm really curious how you feel about this, and let me know in the comments below the video. Also, don't forget that at the end of this course we will be answering your questions, so you can send us those on the email. And tomorrow we start with formulating, so yoo-hoo, a lot more fun to come. Have a great day ahead and get some rest. Bye bye.